Good evening. Can y'all hear me? Is this on? Can you hear me? Yes, okay. All right, it is 6:30 PM, August 21st, 2018, and we are going to call to order the City of Louisville Planning and Zoning Commission. We do have a quorum present. Starting with the second item on the agenda is approving the meeting minutes from the August 7th meeting. Commissioners, are there any comments or motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Motion by Karen. I'm sorry, Mary Ellen. Second by Alvin. Those in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Third item on the agenda is a public hearing for consent agenda plats. We have one item on this agenda tonight for the final plat of Vista Ridge Edition, lots 10R-1 and 11R-1, Block F, on a 5.0159 acre tract of land out of the G.C. Woolsey Survey, Abstract 1402, Zone Light Industrial, located on the east side of Rockbrook Drive, north of State Highway 121, and south of Highland Drive, being a replat of Vista Ridge Edition, lots 9R, 10R, and 11R, Block F.
Commissioner, city staff has reviewed this plat and met all requirements found in Louisville's land development regulations. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Commissioners, are there any comments on this item? Okay, we will open the public hearing for agenda item 3A. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please come forward. Having no one come forward, we will close the public hearing for this item. Commissioners, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Mary Ellen. All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. That plat is approved, and no further action will be taken.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 4 is for the public hearings for zoning and special use permits. We have 3 items under consideration tonight. The first being a public hearing for consideration of a zone change request from single-family residential district R7.5 to Old Town Mixed Use 1 district on approximately 0.93 acres situated in the John W. King Survey, abstract number 696, located at 411 and 419 Milton Street, as requested by Paul Poteet of Liberation Development Investments on behalf of Terry Bond, the property owner.
Good evening, Commissioners. The applicant plans to rezone this property, replat the 2 existing parcels into 1, demolish the existing houses, and develop townhomes at this location. The proposed townhome development will feature 2 rows of 8 townhomes for a total of 16. The design of these townhomes will need to go before the Old Town Design Review Committee as well for approval. This proposed zone change is in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan, which was adopted in 2003. Staff recommends approval for this zone change. Are there any questions?
Have you received any calls regarding this zone change?
We have not received any calls for the zone change, but I know I did speak with one concerned resident earlier tonight.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions before we open the public hearing? No? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, with that, we will open the public hearing for agenda item 4A. Anyone wishing to speak on this item may come forward. And I believe there's a list up here where you can write your name. An address, yes.
Do I go and speak now?
Go ahead.
Thank you. This property is basically behind my house. Thank you. As is another property that was rezoned several years ago. Originally, it was rezoned in order for a private family to build a large 2-story garage so that they could house their antique car collection. And once it was rezoned, it was sold and townhomes were built on it, or were going to be built on it. The actual developer built a few townhomes, and most of the rest of the lot is now empty. It's not well kept, it's not mowed, and frankly, this area is a Old Town residential area with narrow streets. It's not designed to be able to handle the traffic of a significant amount of townhomes driving up and down these narrow streets with no sidewalks. And I am concerned, as a resident of Hatcher, which is the other side of these properties to, that we're talking about on Milton, to have additional townhomes built there when already we have a lot designed for townhomes that has never been completed and is basically not well kept. They are attractive townhomes, but the lot is not well used. And we already have several townhomes being built which are not yet completed or occupied. And I think before this is rezoned, the city of Louisville should see how well and how popular these townhomes are, and if they can, in fact, put in the infrastructure necessary to make it feasible for the citizens who have lived in this area for many years to be able to use their streets. Already in my area, there are times when it's difficult to get down our streets because there's so many cars parked along Hatcher that I have a hard time getting into my driveway and into my garage. So I'm not terribly excited about having lots developed with multi-families in it, which will even increase the traffic even more and make it even more difficult for kids to get to school, for walking and using the area, and just making it difficult for us who already live there to enjoy our neighborhood. It's just not conducive to making it an attractive neighborhood to add more townhomes in the middle of a street that is already primarily occupied by single-family homes. So I would oppose the rezoning as a resident who lives practically next door to where this lot is. And I only heard about it a few days ago. So I can understand why there have not been any phone calls about it, because at least I was unaware of it until the end of last week.
Okay.
Thank you.
For the record, can you please state your name?
My name is Donette Alexander.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Alexander, can I ask you a question before you go?
Certainly.
You had mentioned the infrastructure needed. What, in your mind, would be that infrastructure that was needed there?
Well, for one thing, the streets are really very narrow, and some of the streets do not even have curbs on them in this particular area of Louisville.
Okay.
They don't have sidewalks, and many of the homes do not have garages. They were small homes to begin with, and so many people converted their garages to additional living space. So the only places to park are on the streets. So in a neighborhood such as this, if you take a lot that is now 2 homes and make it a place for, I believe it was 16 townhomes, and put 16 townhomes on it, and then they may not have enough parking for all the people who live there, or they have visitors. Now you have even more people parking on the streets that make it even a narrower street. I mean, at least on Hatcher, sometimes there's only one-way traffic. I mean, that's all you can get through. Okay. And so you pull over and let one person go one way, and then you let the other person go the other way. And that's with single-family homes. I can't imagine what would happen on Milton with an additional 16 townhomes on it, because I'm sure they have the same problem we do. So the new townhomes are closer to Mill Street and was a large undeveloped, or was really business area that's being developed, and that's not really the neighborhood, but this is right in the middle of the neighborhood. So I have some serious concerns.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Kent Bays. I'm on Edwards, and my property is bounded by this. This is my backyard, basically, to the north. Like was said, traffic is a real concern, particularly between Edwards and Purnell. I don't know if a fire truck could go through there any given time of the day because there are so many cars parked on the side of the road. Also, like it was said, there's a lot of cars on the road, and there's no sidewalks. People walking their dogs and stuff, they walk through the yards and so they can stay out of the road. I doubt it's just this neighborhood, but there's a lot of people that cruise through there pretty quick, you know, and somebody walking down that neighborhood, walking their dog, or the kids are riding a bike for somebody, and somebody's tooling through there 40, 50 miles an hour is dangerous. Now we're talking about adding, just say 30-some cars, you know, you figure a couple of cars per household using what's already congested is just, I mean, I'm just terribly opposed to it. For my own personal, we've got a special needs niece that lives with us, and she walks, when the weather's suitable, she walks around the backyard. She's actually got a path worn through the backyard. So now we've got construction, and then after that's all done, we get put up with a year or two of construction. Now we've got houses looking into our backyard. You know, she's pretty limited to what she can do. You know, that may seem selfish to us, but that's our home. And it is more of a neighborhood type place. It's really, it's not set up for a lot of congestion, a lot of cars, you know, and it's going to take away from that neighborhood feel. You know, like I said, there was already the townhouses that never got completed or took off or whatever the case was. And then now all the new ones over by Charles, you know, that are being built, a lot of them. But that more of that part of town is a little more able to handle that congestion and that traffic with those people that are coming in. But, you know, noise pollution has been a problem over in the neighborhood. I'm not saying the people that move in will add to that, but it's just always the potential. So I'm very opposed to opening the door for the possibility of adding that.
Okay. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
My name's Carl Haney, and I'm representing the developer side of it and open to any questions you may have. But referring to the comments or questions that have been made, I can.
Okay, I actually,
afterwards.
I do have a question regarding the parking, since
Sure.
the parking has been brought up.
Absolutely.
So for 16 townhomes, what is the parking situation? Are you providing garage-only parking? Are you providing some additional parking within, or planning to? I realize this is just zoning, and you may or may not have worked out all those details.
It is in a preliminary phase, but moving fairly well. We expect to be able to show something by next week even. But each of the townhomes will have 2-car garage parking, plus a driveway portion in front of that for like guest parking. But the whole idea behind the development is to take cars off the street and have parking along with the unit. As well, part of the idea is that new development's going to have a sidewalk. Obviously, that doesn't make the sidewalk everywhere, but as projects move along, there'll be sidewalks added as part of the development feature. So the project itself will have a sidewalk, and it'll have parking for the residents, including some driveway parking for visitor.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Please.
Good evening. My name is Mike Watson. I am the applicant Paul Poteet's employer. I flew down from Utah to be here tonight, and I got to tell you, I love your city. I'm a regional developer, and we do projects in multiple states, and you're doing a fantastic job here. We love Louisville. I wanted to stand here tonight and assure you of a couple of things. The first thing I wanted to point out was about 10 of us went over to the property today at 2 o'clock to review it. We had 8 cars. There was not one problem parking our vehicles, and in fact, without paying attention, we held a meeting in the middle of Milton Street for approximately 15 minutes before the sun was too much and we moved to the shade. There wasn't one car that passed our meeting or disturbed our meeting, and I feel that the parking there, our intent is to take the cars off the street with the two-car garages, and I don't feel that the traffic is overly burdensome there. The second thing I wanted to assure you of is that when we bring a project in, it will comply in every single way with every ordinance, every requirement, every standard, and every suggestion that we have here from staff and from the ordinances that you have here in the city. You, as a body, considered another project of mine 2 weeks ago on Cowan Street and approved a zone change. That's my project also. And we want to be a great development partner with the city. Our goal is to bring to light, to fruition, your vision. And as a developer, my goal when I go to a city is to find out what it is that the city's hoping for, requesting, hoping to see, and to bring that to pass in the best way possible. Unfortunately, there are issues that come up with other citizens, but we would like to be a great partner with you. And I just wanted to offer, if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The other point I wanted to make is these will be very, very nice townhomes. Based on the neighborhood, they will be the most expensive properties in the neighborhood, and we envision them bringing the property values of the other properties up.
Commissioners, any further questions? Thank you.
Oh, and lastly,
Go ahead. No, sorry,
Oh,
go ahead, finish.
go ahead.
Have you met with any of the residents in the area? to
We have
speak to
not
their
yet. Our
concerns?
intent is to do that. We love to meet with residents in the area and incorporate those designs into what we do on our projects, to take suggestions. And in fact, we met with Heather Cicerello from Commercial Bank of Texas, who's on the Old Town Committee this afternoon, and got quite a bit of feedback from her on what they'd like to see with the project, the design, and how it might fit in well with what your community's doing here. But we do intend to meet with many residents in anticipation of submitting our plans.
Thank you.
I-
I have something too, you're done.
Oh, I was going to echo what Karen said, is that we've had a couple of neighbors get up and speak tonight. I think there's some, some valid concerns that are being raised. I would love it if you could work with some of those individuals, and I realize that you can't incorporate everything in, but if there's a way to, accommodate some of their concerns with,
Absolutely.
a wall or some feature that will help address some of those concerns, that would be very much appreciated.
One of the things that we're very excited about, and a lot of the other states I develop in don't have tree commissions, and I've been excited to see that, and we're going to be very aggressive with our landscaping. We do quite a bit of landscaping and trees, and we'd love to create any kind of buffers that the neighbors might like. Obviously, we'll put in trees and they'll grow over time, but we're excited to be a good neighbor to the citizens. We'd like to have a long-standing relationship here. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to.
I would recommend that you go down the street at 7:30 or 8, maybe even 7 in the morning, and again at when school lets out, and then again in the evening to get a better
Of course.
look of what folks are talking about regarding that. The other question I have is would you at all be interested in adding to any of the infrastructure as part of your development, other than the sidewalks for your development?
As far as off-sites go,
Yeah.
we hadn't brought that into consideration. Generally, we don't do that. But we can look at whatever proposals are there. We always look to the city and ask, what would you like to do, especially with the staff? And again, our intent is to meet or exceed every requirement that's placed with this project that's fair and amenable to a developer in the city. We're happy to be a great partner with you. And I'm available to take questions from any of the visitors tonight as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? If there's no one else wishing to speak on this item, we will close the public hearing. So,
If we have other things we'd like to say, can we address them
I think that could be a combination between the city, probably maybe through the city. Would that be fair? Okay. You
You can
wanna-
talk
Michelle?
to myself or any one of the planners that you see sitting at the front dais here.
Okay. With that, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, is there any, I personally feel, I know that the city has, a plan for this, for Old Town. I love Old Town. I think we're going through a transitional period where there are going to be some things that are planned for Old Town and some things that have been for Old Town, and there's going to be some conflict in between. I know that with more development comes traffic. That's always going to be the concern. And I echo that concern. I live in Old Town. There's a lot of little narrow streets that get very congested and very busy. I do trust that the city has a plan that we're going to increase some of the density in this area, that there is going to be a plan behind that to upgrade that infrastructure, whether it be, the streets, water, sewer, all of it to accommodate that development. And so I have to, I trust that our staff is looking at that and that there is a plan for Milton Street to, and I don't know if we have anybody from engineering here tonight, but that there will be some upgrades made, in the future for that as well to accommodate that.
I trust the city as well, but I am concerned about the density in that area. And I'm concerned about the density of townhomes. I think that while they may meet all the requirements, to me, it seems like they are going to change the look and feel of the neighborhood that troubles me at this point. I don't think I would be interested in seeing that happen.
Commissioners, are there any other comments or thoughts? Okay. Well, if nobody has any comments or thoughts, I will entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve agenda item 4A.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. A second public hearing will be held by the City Council on Monday, September 17th, where they will take final action on this item.
Okay, agenda item 4B is a public hearing for consideration of amending Chapter 17 zoning, Section 17-3 definitions and additional use regulations, Section 17-22.8.1 mixed-use shopping center district regulations, Section 17-22.8.2 mixed-use district regulations, and Section 17-22.8.3 mixed-use 90 district regulations by repealing and replacing them in their entirety, altering definitions, adding and deleting uses and related regulations within the various mixed-use districts, and amending the concept plan adoption and amendment process within the various mixed-use districts.
Good evening, Commissioners. So with this project, staff initially was looking at changing the setbacks in the mixed-use zoning district, but as we looked through the various mixed-use districts, we realized we needed to do a little bit of tweaking in all three of them. So we have the mixed-use shopping center, and mixed-use 90, and as we looked at those, we also need to amend our definitions. So we've removed two uses in all three districts, gasoline service station and cemetery, columbarium, mausoleum, or accessory use. For these districts, they've all been requested by property owners or applicants, and they've submitted concept plans. It's not really a use that we have in them currently, and it's not really one that we really anticipate having. Secondly, we changed apartment to multifamily dwelling unit just to be reflective of the rest of our codes and ordinances and consistent. In the mixed-use district, we've added an option for a single-family detached dwelling unit. This has been done before in a plan development where they've used mixed-use zoning as the base for that plan development, but then also allowed for detached units. And we feel that a denser detached unit can be appropriate under certain circumstances. With any development in the mixed-use zoning district, they would need to submit a concept plan, and that concept plan would be approved as part of their zoning ordinance. And that's been even strengthened, that language, with these amendments, so that that concept plan is in fact part of the ordinance. And any amendments to that trigger either Planning and Zoning Commission review, or if it's to one of the zoning standards, a new zoning request, where it would go through the Planning and Zoning Commission for recommendation and then again on to the City Council. So that's what we're requesting tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you. We will open the public hearing for agenda item 4B. Anyone wishing to speak on this item may come forward. Having no one come forward, we will close the public hearing for 4B. Commissioners, comments or a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mary Ellen, second by Karen. All those in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. As this is an ordinance change, this is a recommendation to the City Council. A second public hearing will be held with them on September 10th for a final decision.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 4C is a public hearing for consideration of the adoption of an ordinance of the Louisville City Council amending Chapter 17 zoning of the Louisville City Code by deleting Section 1736, certificates of occupancy in its entirety, amending Chapter 4, buildings and building regulations by adding a new section, Section 436, certificates of occupancy, and amending Chapter 2, Section 2-201, fee schedule by adding a fee for certificates of occupancy.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Wayne Snell, Director of Neighborhood and Inspection Services. The request tonight is more of a house cleaning item. Certificate of occupancies are generally governed under the building code. So right now, the way our ordinance is written, there are regulations that limit our ability to do certain things because they're in the zoning ordinance. So what we're asking here tonight is to remove those items from the zoning ordinance, create a little better clarity on those items, put them in the building regulations aspect, and allow the building code to regulate. The certificate of occupancy is a document that identifies that a building is suitable for occupancy. It has certain criteria that are specifically labeled by the building code that address what the building is, how it's built, when it was built, and aspects like that. Right now in the zoning ordinance, the regulations include things regarding land use, and the zoning, quite frankly, is what regulates land use. The certificate of occupancy isn't a document that's necessary for that. So to better enable us to make sure that we're capturing businesses when they're moving from one tenant to another, an owner changes ownership from one business to another, we'd like to remove it from the zoning ordinance and place it in the building regulations. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we will open the public hearing for agenda item 4C. Anyone wishing to speak may come forward. Having no one come forward, we will close the public hearing for agenda item 4C. Commissioners, comments or a motion?
Motion to recommend item 4C.
Okay, we have a motion by Jim.
Second.
Second by Alvin. All those in favor signify aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is also an ordinance change and a recommendation that will go before the City Council for a second public hearing and final decision on September the 10th.
Okay. Agenda item 5 is other business, just announcing that we will have a capital improvement advisory committee meeting immediately following this meeting tonight. And then we need to discuss the holiday schedule.
Yes, correct, Commissioners. I just wanted to be sure to confirm that we would have a quorum on Tuesday, September 4th, as it's the day after Labor Day.
I will be here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
All right, we've got 4.
I'll be here.
5.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Okay, then the final item on the agenda tonight is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
To adjourn?
Motion by Karen,
Second.
second by Alvin. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.